stage.
Just out of curiosity, as we're here at our Tea Party, in the last year and a half, if you've attended a town hall meeting held by Earl Pelosi, could you raise your hand? I don't see any hands up. Well, maybe under this new Obamacare we could have a change. Maybe our congressman could go into a local hospital and get a spine implant and have a town hall meeting. And for the record, the state of North Dakota, just to clarify, the state of North Dakota does not have a surplus. It has a over-taxation problem. And whenever you see a legislator, you tell them you want your money back. We're overtaxed. Surplus sounds like they did some great job of managing the money. Well, when you've increased spending almost 60% in 4 years, you're not managing money at all. You're spending like a bunch of drunken sailors, but that would be an insult to drunken sailors. So let's not do that. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. He's a resident of Bismarck, a longtime conservative, a commodity trading advisor, and the president of the Heartland Investor Services, Eugene Graner.
Good afternoon. Hello, my fellow North Dakota patriots. Thank you for coming out today. I want you to do yourself a favor. I want you to look left or right, and I want you to shake a hand to a stranger that's either to the left of you or to the right of you. Do it for your own benefit right now. Now, I want you to know what you just did. You possibly shook the hand of the next city councilman, county commissioner, possible state legislature, and if we can hope like-minded people here, the next governor and congressman, as well as U.S. Senator for North Dakota. They say the Tea Party is possibly a fringe element of the Republican Party. I'm sorry, but if you go to the North Dakota GOP website and read the principles on there, it's all about the Tea Party. So if somebody wants to call the Tea Party the fringe element, it's because they are the fringe party element. The Tea Party never left the Republican Party. It is the core. Bob Harms came up here earlier, and he was spelling out pretty much in detail what's going on, numbers and figures. And a lot of times, big numbers just run by people. $13 trillion deficit, $1 trillion yearly deficits, all these numbers, they just jumble around, and you know in your heart something's wrong with it. And they can't put a finger on it, but they know somehow, some way it's going to be a problem. Well, I'm here to tell you what that problem is going to be for you. You see, the tax that's being perpetrated on the American public, young and old, rich or poor, fixed income, there is one benefit. The illegal immigrants are also involved in it. It's called inflation. This is how the politicians in power are going to tax you. You see, when they talk about cost of living, it's considered without food and energy included. I don't know about many of you, but I wouldn't live very long for 48 hours without food or energy. Food and energy has been inflating and is about to start and embark on a much higher rate of inflation. When you watch CNBC and you read a lot of financial newsletters, they'll tell you we have deflation right now. Well, this is correct. Deflation on large items that you have to usually borrow money to purchase. Homes, automobiles, any large purchase item, those items are having trouble right now, and it's deflation because several reasons. People were over-borrowing, and now they can't do that anymore. Plus, regulations have been changed to make it much harder. Of course, the pendulum went from one extreme to another. So there is deflation on large items. But every single individual here today needs to buy food, and you're going to be buying energy. We live in North Dakota. You have to travel, and you have to heat your home. And the reason why it's going up is because of the U.S. dollar. Now, the U.S. dollar, we turned over the control of the U.S. dollar in 1913 to the Federal Reserve. And in the 97 years they've been in charge of it, they have helped squash that green piece of paper in your pocket, which isn't even called a U.S. dollar. If you look at the top of any of the bills, $1, $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter, it says U.S. Federal Reserve Note. Now, a note, for anybody who's ever bought a CD or anything, is a tradable instrument. And so the U.S. note is tradable, and it has value that fluctuates over time. The last time the U.S. dollar held strong strength was 1999 after a balanced budget in the United States, and in 2000, crude oil was $11 a barrel. It's no coincidence when the U.S. dollar was at its weakest in the last 20 years, crude oil touched $147 a barrel. Now, for those that are not understanding and have wasted an MBA, like Senator Byron Dorgan, they like to blame people. And they like to blame the speculator. Well, I had challenged Senator Dorgan many times about his understanding, and he doesn't like a challenge, and he tries to quiet people, but it's kind of hard to quiet me with the mouth I carry around. But nonetheless, if you Google charts on the internet, you go look at a US dollar chart, go look at an energy chart, an oil chart, and there is a direct inverse relationship. When the US dollar is strong, what you use to buy your food with, your energy with, becomes cheap again. It's no coincidence that when grain prices are at low and the energy prices are low, the US dollar is strong. Now we have the US dollar, as of last week, new lows for 2010. Now we're embarking on a challenge to go take a look at the lows, which are another 10% below us in 2008. Why is this occurring? It's because the numbers Bob Harms was talking about. The state of North Dakota, or you yourself as an individual, you don't have a printing press in your garage. The federal government does. You have several ways of bringing in money to pay your bills. The U.S. government can tax you for it, or it can raise it by selling bonds, like war bonds back in the day, but today they sell bonds. And to keep interest rates low, the Federal Reserve is buying those bonds from the government, which, by the way, is with created money. And of course, the third way is just for the U.S. government to go on their backup line, their credit line, and that is the Federal Reserve. Now, envision the dollar that you have in your pocket. It's like a good soup when it's strong. When you got the right amount of stock in there, the right amount of vegetables and beef, you have a good satisfying bowl of soup. But when a lot of people show up at one time and want more of that soup, the only fastest way for solution is to add water. Well, now that soup is not so filling. You need more to satisfy. And that's what happens to your US dollar. It's taking more dollars to buy that product. And when you go back to energy and oil, oil isn't everything. There isn't a piece of food that you eat. It has to be grown on the farm. It has to be planted. It has to be tilled. It has to be harvested with what? Energy. It has to be delivered to the grain elevators with what? Energy. Transported by train to areas for processing. Energy. Hauled back to the store. Energy. Corn is not the number one price in the cost of your food. It is oil. It is energy. And oil is priced in US dollars around the world. So when the US dollar loses value, China can buy our energy cheaper. Bangladesh can buy our energy cheaper. Their dollar becomes stronger. You have to compete for that same energy that's being pulled out of the Balkan to buy for your gasoline needs. The US dollar is the direct relationship on your way of life. Inflation is the tax that families struggle with every year for the simple purpose they come home, they pay the bills, and at the end of the month, there seems to be more month than paycheck. It's because of the tax of inflation. And what we need to elect to Congress are congressmen that will understand that it's not all about giving everybody what they want, it's giving them what they need. And that is the opportunity for themselves to have aspirations, to create innovations, and to have a sense of entrepreneurship, to be responsible for themselves. Because we have a society today that's almost 50% on government responsibility to be taken care of. At some point in time, we're going to lose control of that. The people here today are the people that I love to hang around with. And if they want to call you a fringe, then I'm head fringe. Because I'm proud to stand with you, because you understand it's not about what government can do for me. It's about what government can take its place and be responsible for just collectively people coming together and sharing a common good. But don't take away my opportunity to be the best, whether it's in school, be the best in my class as I aspire to be the best in my life. I want to someday give my abilities to succeed in this world to my children, to pass it on to them. And today I am fearful of that with what's in Washington. But on November 2nd, you have that control. You have that choice. It is our country. The silent majority has awakened. It has awakened in you. And North Dakota Tea Party, I love you and thank you for having me here today to explain it.